All right, cool. Guess we're good to go. Yo, what's going on YouTube? It's been a while. It's been a long time coming. Welcome to another YouTube video for you, the YouTube viewer. It's been a while since I said that. I know a lot of things have happened since I last uploaded onto YouTube. I know I get the questions, where the playbook breakdowns, where are the thoughts of Madden, where have you been? So for the time being, you can always check me out on the links and descriptions below. I am on Twitter a lot, so twitter.com/theblackphoenix. And then you can also catch me live on Twitch, twitch.tv/blackphoenix. I'm always on one of those two platforms, so feel free to come in and subscribe, follow the channels and stuff like that, or follow me on Twitter and stuff like that to kind of get my latest thoughts on Madden. So I'm more times than not going to be on those platforms. One of the biggest things I want to talk about is the Madden 21 beta that just ended last night. Kind of get my thoughts about it, talk about what I liked, what I didn't like, what my experience was with the whole entire beta, and realistically kind of where I see Madden going in terms of what I think the devs are trying to do this cycle, and hopefully give my hopes and thoughts of what they should fix before launch happens in late August. So starting off, my initial impression from Madden 20 was that, Madden 21 beta was that it's different from 20. Like, it felt a lot different. It didn't feel like, everybody and their grandma's running the ball. It didn't feel I-form heavy. It didn't feel like, like what we were accustomed to this year, which was a very, very bad game, in my opinion. For instance, the rat catch and being able to turn it up the field was a lot better this year or in the beta than in this year in Madden and 20, where when you rat catch it, you can actually like legit on a dime just hit the button, go upfield. In 20, you would hit the button and then they would like kind of like slow turn, and then by the time they actually start getting up the field, they're tackled right on the spot. So I like the rat catches a lot this year. Passing is way, way better. And the reason why I say passing is a lot better is because of the fact that, when beforehand the 146 would destroy a lot of things, the Sin 7, Sin 8 meta destroyed a lot of passing sets. So a lot of people ended up going to like the I-form close tights, strong close, under center stuff. But now that the contain blitzers are slowed down, the Sin 7, Sin 8 doesn't work nearly as well. You can throw the ball a lot quicker this year. I think it's a lot better. It makes passing a lot more easier. Like sets, like playbooks, like for instance, like spread, which I love using, become a lot more viable this year. The option games are a little bit more viable this year. The bubble screen game is viable. RPO game is ridiculously good this year. So I'm excited to see what happens in terms of launch. Quarterback releases are a lot faster. So beforehand, everybody and their grandmother would use Aaron Rodgers because Aaron Rodgers would actually be able to throw the ball out super quick. Had the fastest release in the game. With this year, it felt like, some releases were a little bit faster. Like Lamar's was a lot faster. Brady's was super quick, super, super quick. Matt Ryan's wasn't bad either. He would get the ball out. I think he had like one of the generic releases, and I think Patrick Mahomes, his release was kind of fast, but like it wasn't like it was faster. But I still felt at times it was still really slow. I think he has like the Gunslinger 3 or Slinger 3 release, which is like one of the slowest in the game. So his felt a little bit faster, but I still didn't like it enough to be like, oh, well, I'm definitely going to use Patrick Mahomes, going forward in mud or going forward in regs and stuff like that. Still kind of iffy on him. That's just probably comes with more reps and stuff like that. So one of the biggest features that they featured this year, I said featured twice, I don't know why. Formation audibly. So, for instance, you could come out in two tight ends, two tight ends, one running back, two wide receivers, right? The game will actually tell you the personnel that's on the field. So, for instance, what a lot of people were trying out were formations like trips tight end, which is normally 11 personnel, aka one tight end, one running back, and three wide receivers. What a lot of people ended up doing was they came out and trips tight end, which is normally a 3 wide receiver set, and added an additional tight end either via package or manually subbing them. What ends up happening is that the game will still say trips tight end, but they'll actually tell you like, okay, this guy's coming out in like two tight ends, 2 wide receivers, 1 running back. So for those that are like very keen on like playbooks and what your opponent is in, this will be a kind of an easy to like basically say like, okay, I know what you're gonna do. You're gonna audible to like ace twins, which you can't do this year. If you put another habit, like say for instance, instead of 2 tight ends, you put 2 running backs. You can go to split close this year. So while it does offer some like a much needed flexibility, especially for instance, books like the Patriots, going to be dangerous this year if you're not up to speed on what the Patriots have. Books like Carolina, for instance, or books like Tampa Bay that has like 4 wide receiver sets in their spread or their flip trips. Those type of books get a little bit extra juice in their formations. Or for instance, in spread, you can do packages where you can put the tight end in the backfield. So instead of having I think it's like 2 running backs, 3 wide receiver sets, now becomes, the simple 11 personnel, which is, 1 tight end, 1 running back, 3 wide receivers, and you can just audible from slot all set to any formation, which is extremely, extremely versatile. So it makes the playbooks that much better and that much easier to use. You probably will see some kind of variation of players trying to use, running backs, and then like say for instance, West Coast bunch, maybe they'll use some running backs or 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, and a tight end, and go from gun bunch to near close, far tight slot, whatever the case is, and you have to kind of have a defense that can defend a lot of stuff. I know, for instance, you're going to say, oh, what about defense? Well, defense, they say they're going to work on, but I'm kind of curious how that works necessarily, because most base sets in Madden don't really have a safety at the linebacker spots. I know like 3-4 even does, and then even still, like, does it mean you just audible to nickel? Does it mean you audible to 4-4? Like I don't know. I'm curious to see how that all pans out. And again, it's something I'm probably gonna have to look forward to from EA and see how they just decide to go about that feature. The downside to this formation audibling is, like I said, people know what you're doing. So just, I would say for those that are going to be competing in Madden, like playing the MCS, playing clubs, all that stuff, or going to the Madden Classic, be very knowledgeable on all the playbooks in the game and what your opponent can or can't do, because that's going to give you the edge up and the leg up on your competition. In terms of defense, a lot of people hated defense. I did too. It was not good this year at all, or in this beta. I keep saying this year. Whatever. It's the beta. I didn't like the way defense was this year in the beta because it felt slow. Now, my biggest issue was that apparently there's a new rating called Change Direction, or you're going to see like COD, like COD. We didn't get told about this until like somebody had posted on it, and Clint said, "Oh, I can help out here. This is a change of direction. This is how you can, like how in Madden 20 and in previous Maddens, you're able to like defend like a whole bunch of routes all at the same time. This year, you can't do that. It's a lot slower. And in some cases, it's very slow to where you can't even commit to one route because you're just that slow. And it's frustrating to see happen, especially like, for instance, if you want to guard a drag, you can't necessarily guard the drag. Like you'll take a step towards it, but then the receiver is like way ahead of you by the time you can like even turn. And again, that would have been nice to know and say, at least, especially on the gameplay stream and all that stuff, when you had Kralo and Clint should have said, oh, hey, by the way, users are going to be slower. Look for a rating called change of direction. If you want to basically be faster and user like you're accustomed to using in Madden 20, you need to start investing in guys that have high speed, high change of direction. If he would have said that, boom, crisis averted. We could have simply not freaked out as much on Twitter, be like, oh, users are slow, defense sucks, all this other stuff. But instead, you didn't tell us that information. What's up, Dre? How you doing, man? So instead of telling us that information, you hide it and then say on Twitter, oh, by the way, like, here's what's going on. So I didn't like that necessarily. I think that was poor decision on the devs. They could have done better in that aspect. Zones, awful. Zones were awful. Match just was practically non-existent. I found a way to get match to work, but it was a struggle to get it to work. Not sure if it was because the defenses in general were just bad. Like the Chiefs didn't have a good defense. The Falcons' defense was trash. Like the Ravens had a solid defense with Earl Thomas and Calais Campbell, but like in terms of like the zones themselves, they were just flat out awful. Didn't like them. Deep halves, just they were pretty much the same way Madden 16s. I think Madden 16, Madden 17's deep pass were, where they just practically were just floating out into no man's land in the space. They didn't really guard anything. They just kind of simply just stood there and let receivers catch the ball and then react. And then I don't like how, especially in match, the quarters flat zone doesn't immediately match the drags or flat zones that go out there. I feel like they were like a step slow, a 2-step slow. Just didn't seem like match was really viable this year. And I'm not sure if it's because they decided to do the whole zone increments where you can drop hooks, drop flats, purples, clouds, even hard flats for whatever reason, in increments of 5. So you can go from 0 to 30. And because they added that feature, that match kind of got, I don't know, screwed up somehow. What's up, Coster? How's it going? I just don't like the way zones were this year. Just did not like it. Wasn't a big fan of it. Hopefully they get fixed. If they do, what a good idea was that came up in the stream was some zones need to be kind of either you do it individually, like you have your hard flat adjustment, your cloud flat adjustment, your seam flat, curl flat, vertical hook curls, like have it individually, or just simply, in my opinion, take out hard flats, take out seam flats out of that whole equation, because it makes zero sense to have a hard flat and then you tell it drop 30 yards back and it essentially plays like a cloud flat. Like that's so stupid to me. So take some of the zones out. That's the way I would see it. Couldn't miss this. Need to learn more mechanics from a pro mind. Oh man, I don't consider myself a pro yet, but hey, I appreciate it. But I'll probably try to do more of these type of things in the future, because I know my YouTube channel has been like kind of like sitting in dust for like ever. So I could do something like that. But it's not going to be nearly the same level of like, you know, what I used to do with playbook breakdowns back in the day. That's going to be left for a future time frame when I have like equipment and a desktop and I save up money and stuff like that for it. But I appreciate you coming out there, Coster. The other thing I want to talk about, abilities. Film study's got to go. It has to go. Film study was awful. The first day I didn't see it because maybe my opponent was mixing it up that much to where like it didn't activate and I really wasn't like looking for it. But the second day that I played the beta, so this was what, Friday, I saw it. And the moment I saw it, it was like, no. Take this out completely. So film study, basically, it's an automatic ability to where if you run, I don't know what the number threshold is for running this, but basically if you run a play, it just a stock play, or even with you adjusted the routes, if you run that again, Earl Thomas will then activate. And when you're checking your adjustments, you can see what your opponent's play is. So you can see all the high route adjustments. You can see, all the routes that your opponent has, like everything that your opponent's doing. And I hate that for competitive Madden. It's not good. Like, I get the sentiment, like, for the casual guy, like the whole, you only run like 2 or 3 plays and you run the same play all the time. Okay. That sentiment is, it's still kind of lazy, but I get that sentiment. But at the same time why do you need an automatic ability to basically know what your opponent's going to do? Like, why are you getting your hand held? And why do you have an ability which allows your opponent to essentially be lazy and basically see the play for free. Like you didn't earn it. I just came out and play again because I know it works against you, and yet you get the ability to see my whole entire play art. Like I think that's bad for competitive Madden. It just lowers the skill gap, in my opinion. It's anytime. It's anytime. So, like for instance, if I call, let's say for instance, I call mesh post out of West Coast in the gun bunch, right? Let's say I call that in the first quarter. I'm just first drive, first quarter, just to kind of get a feel of what you're gonna do on defense, right? Let's say I call it in the second quarter. Let's say like it's 2 minutes left, past the 2-minute warning. I have the ball. I'm driving. If I call mesh post again, it activates, right? So on defense, you can see like I could do the whole hitch the middle of the bunch receiver. Maybe delay fade the tight end or put them on a flat, and you can actually see like the delay fade route. You can see the hitch, you can see the post, you can see the drag. Or if I decide to go with the setup of I can out route the solo wide receiver, wheel the halfback, and then have the other two routes do whatever. In this case, you can see that like that's not good. Because again, you didn't. It would be different if film study was like an X factor. Like you got like a couple interceptions, or you got a sack or something like that, and you earned it. Like you're glowing. It's like you activate it, and then you can see it. Kind of similar to like Peyton Manning last year having in Mutt having the Omaha, where at least for him at the beginning of the game, you can see like the defense side of the ball. You can see what kind of cover shell they're in, cover 2, 3, 4. 1-0, and that's an X factor that he had to light up for it. Or in some cases, if you had him starting, he would automatically come out with that. And I think it would be like 1 or 2 plays that would activate. But to have it automatically without earning it, that's the problem. Would it make it better if it had set requirements? I would understand more if it was consecutive. I just don't think you should have it at all. I think to me, it's like if you're going to play defense, you need to adjust, especially when you're playing at the high level competitive stages, whether it's, you're trying to go 25-0 in a weekend league, and you're playing for championship belts, you're playing the classic and stuff like that. You need to have some kind of initiative to adjust. Film study basically is saying like, hey, here's your opponent's play, and you don't have to do anything for it. It's hand holding. It's a casual ability that gets people to be lazy. So if they're gonna keep it in the game, make it an X factor, and even still make it like I don't know one play that you get to see it if they ran it previously, and then just then resets from there. So that's if they keep it. Me personally, I say get rid of it. Just completely trash it. Replace it with something else. Make Earl Thomas have like just better overall zone coverage, better reactions in the air, better ability to catch picks, something else. Film study just isn't it. The other abilities I thought were interesting, the passing ability. So Tom Brady has, I think it's set feet lead, but instead of in 20 where you can essentially literally pass lead it, and sometimes it's good and sometimes it's bad. They got rid of that type of thing to where now the ball comes out like super fast. So Brady is essentially throwing a fucking laser way down the field at like 20, 30 miles an hour, and it's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. Like I played with Brady like maybe like once or twice. One I think was like offline just to see like how route master and what he can do, and then 2 was simply like, let's just test out the pass lead. And boy, those passes come out quick. I absolutely love it. I think it's going to be better for pocket passers, especially this year. I don't think he had protected or anything like that because I think he's on a new team. He's not with the actual Patriots anymore. But that passing ability is hell. I'm trying to figure out if anybody else can get that ability. So like improvisers, scramblers, strong arm quarterbacks and stuff like that. And if they can, my goodness, it's going to be that ability is so much fun. High Route Master is always good, no matter what type of game you're playing. Madden 20, Madden 21 beta, it's super good. And the Bucks are just ridiculous this year. Even with Gronk having super low ratings because he just came out of retirement, Scotty Miller, man, Scotty Miller is a dog, man. He's a dog. So yeah, High Route Master is gonna be it's gonna be nice. One of the other things I liked, no more route specialists. So you don't have the post flag elites. You don't have the in out elites. You don't have the curl comeback elites. You don't have the what's the other one that's big? The in post elite, out corner elite. You don't have any of those anymore. Instead, the abilities are now catered to areas of the field. And by the way, you don't get better route running. You just get better catching. So for instance, Mike Evans, I think, has like deep out elites. I think Julio has I think he has the same thing, a deep out elite, or he has like an in elite or something like that. And so my thoughts on that are kind of like, it's good because it gets rid of the whole meta of I can just put post flag elite on anybody and then just run gun bunch and run rollout corners the whole time. And they get perfect route running. They get great separation. Instead, now it's okay. Now I can get better. I can get better catching ability from it. So if you throw it my way, Mike Evans, he was a dog in the freaking beta. Can go up and pretty much. I mean, I wouldn't say automatic, but he would come down with the ag at a pretty high clip, depending on who was on him. If it was like a really good corner on him, he probably wouldn't nearly as much. But if it was like some like bum on the street, then yeah, he's agging more times than not. But the same thing applies for the defense too, because the defense has abilities as well. So I think Tyrann Mathieu, I think, has short flat KO. So basically, if you put him in like a hard flat, a purple, I seen him actively off like like a hook curl, and I want to say maybe a cloud, maybe. He'll activate and he'll react, and it's kind of similar to like how man up and zoned out work. He'll kind of do something similar. He'll react a lot faster. He's a goon on the beta too. I love the way Tyrann Mathieu is and what they did with him. Pause. And then there's other. I think Marlon Humphrey had like an ability as well. Earl Thomas obviously had like his. I think it was like deep zone KO. So if you had him in like a deep third, a deep half, I want to say I'm not sure if he worked in quarters. I'm not sure on that one, but any of those deep blues, he would activate and be able to react a lot better as well. Yeah, he did. You know who was cracked though? Marcus Peters. I don't know, like he didn't have abilities on, but Marcus Peters, man, he balled out. Like I don't know what they did to his coding or his DNA, but Marcus Peters was a dog. And so that's the thing too. I want to hit on too. Like especially, I forgot to mention this on zone. Sometimes, even though I do say the zones are horrible, sometimes they play ridiculously good. And I don't know if it's just like a ratings chance because they have like maybe like a 75 or 80 zone or man or whatever. Like sometimes when they do react, it's like, whoa, like how did you play that? Like that wasn't even close to you. You just played that. So Peters was a goon. Breland was a goon sometimes too with the Chiefs. He called like a good amount of picks. And then Chuck Clark, man, I don't know what Chuck Clark got in his DNA too, Paul, but that man was the Earl Thomas too. Like it was ridiculous with him, man. But yeah, that's pretty much the whole thoughts on the beta. I think overall it was solid. Like it's not Madden 20. So to me, anything that's not Madden 20 was enjoyable. I think this year, offenses get a lot more creative. I think modes like draft champions, I think modes like salary cap, especially for clubs becomes a lot more interesting now because now that you can mix up personnel and then audible down to like the proper set. So like I said, for instance, you can come out and trips tight end with two tight ends and then, for instance, go straight to a slot offset and run like post levels, RPO inside zone. That's hell. Like that is extremely hell. So I think for as far as viewing wise, it gets a lot more better. So you're not. I don't want to say like the whole you're not going to see the same cards, because that's a lie. I think you're still going to see the same type of cards, but I think for those that have multiple schemes this year, I think you're going to benefit a lot more than the guys that just sit in like gun bunch the whole time and don't do anything. So that's just the way I see it. And I think that, again, just like every year, it's got the potential to be one of the best Madden games, but we'll see after the first, second, third patch how it goes. And it's the same cycle every year. We get hyped, beta comes out, we're all like kind of amped about it. Then you start getting to like launch, and then the first patch comes. Then blitzes start being found out. Then second patch comes, and then it just goes down. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. But based on the beta, there's a lot of potential. And now there's a lot of things they need to fix. Zones, match, users, I think need to be a little bit faster. Not a lot faster. I don't want to go back to like Madden 20 users, but just a little bit faster. So at least we can, I don't know, guard something. Tackling probably needs to be, I didn't say this either too, tackling probably needs to be improved. Some instances, tackling is great. Sometimes your guys doing what Madden 20 does is rolling and spinning like 5+ yards. So it'll be interesting to see what 21 brings us. I personally am excited, especially for offense. I feel like my offense, for the most part, was awesome. Like, spread book is going to be hell this year, and I'm super excited. And I know books like the Patriots are going to be good. Carolina, look out for Carolina. Carolina's going to be so good. If you haven't looked at that book in the beta, you missed out. Carolina is going to be hell this year. I'm going to look out for the Cowboys, but that one didn't update. And I think the Browns didn't update either with Stefanski. And I think the Giants, too, with Judge didn't update. But I know Carolina is, yeah, that book is, like, it's basically like the passing version of Oakland. And still, Oakland is, by the way, is still probably pretty good. So we'll see what happens. But thank y'all for coming out. It was good to talk about the beta, good to dust off the YouTube channel. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see what Madden 21 brings. Again, hopefully they fix what needs to be fixed. The forums were a little bad this year, just like every year. But we'll see what they fix. We'll see what they come out with, and all we can do is adapt, adjust, and get ready for the new year. So appreciate y'all coming out. Again, more YouTube content is going to be in the future. It's not going to be in the near future, but it's going to be in the distant future, especially, again, coming back with the podcast, coming back with the playbook breakdowns and stuff like that. So for those that have been subscribed for a long time, wonder where I am on YouTube, like I said, follow me on Twitter, follow me on Twitch. That'll be the best way to keep in contact of where I'm at. So for those that came in a little bit late, you can always look at the video once it's done rendering and stuff like that, so you get an idea of if anything. I'll see y'all later. Peace.